gymnastics venue. And Tim, Brent, I guess it will come down to the big two, the United States and Cuba. Is that what you expect there?
Absolutely, Brent. You know, they're both very talented teams, especially the Cubans. But we spoke to the U.S. head coach last night, A.B. Grossfeld, and he is very confident about these games. He feels good about his team. Now, I think both of these teams are looking forward to this event with great anticipation, and working with me in gymnastics, two of the athletes that we wanted to reach out and embrace during the '84 Olympics in Los Angeles, Court Counter and Kathy Johnson. And Kathy, let's start first with the women's team. We know about Christy Phillips, who is the #1 gymnast in the United States. We know about Phoebe Mills, her student or her teammate down at Houston, who is another student of Bella Caroli. But what about the rest of the team?
Well, this is a great opportunity for the United States to showcase their best gymnasts. In fact, they could very well dominate this competition. Of course, we have Christy Phillips, #1 ranked gymnast, but the Americans also have great depth. Sabrina Marr, top finisher at the World Championships 2 years ago. Hope Spivey, who is an extremely fiery competitor, and then there's Missy Marlowe, who many feel in this country could be one to beat. So all in all, you got some exciting gymnastics.
I know you like Missy. Now, what about the men? Two of your old teammates, gold medal winners out in Los Angeles, two old war horses in Scotty Johnson and Tim Daggett are back. But what about their depth? Do they have tournament depth?
They really do. In fact, this is a very strong U.S. team. Scott Johnson, of course, and Tim Daggett will be leading the way, but there are four other very strong performers in Kevin Davis, Tom Schlesinger, Charles Lakes, and Brian Ginsberg. Now, the U.S. team will have to be consistent if it's going to compete against a very strong Cuban team who's led by Casimiro Suarez, who won 6 golds in the last Pan American Games. In fact, was deemed the all-around athlete of the Games in Venezuela.
All right, Bart. So these veterans have come to Indianapolis with a mission. They feel that, as a team, they have something to prove. 4 years ago in Caracas, the Cuban men continued their dominance of Pan American gymnastics, winning all 8 gold medals as they had done in San Juan in 1979. In Caracas, the Cubans were led by Casimiro Suarez. He collected 5 individual gold medals, as well as a team gold. And, not surprisingly, Suarez was named Athlete of the Games. The current Cuban team is certainly one of the best in the world, and once again enters the Pan American Games as the favorite. At age 24, Suarez is back, and he sees a much closer competition.
Yes, I think so, because the U.S. team is better prepared now than in past years. In the Pan American Games of '83, the U.S. didn't compete with their best team.
This time, the United States is sending its best team, like Scott Johnson, a member of the 1984 gold medal Olympic team, and the 1987 U.S. all-around champion. For Johnson, the U.S.-Cuba gymnastics rivalry is for real.
Going into the competition, I feel there's a pretty strong rivalry. The Cubans are coming here to compete in this meet to beat the United States. They beat us in the last World Championships in 1985, which were held in Montreal. They feel they can do it again. Well, we didn't do well in Montreal. They shouldn't have beat us in Montreal. And our goal is to beat them here.
Brian Ginsberg is another top American hopeful, but he is coming back from an ankle injury. Earlier this year, Brian beat some of the top gymnasts in the world when he won the American Cup. It was his first major international victory.
It took a while to sink in that I actually, won. I beat one of the top Soviets. I beat the top German, who was 3rd in the world. It proved to myself that I can compete with the top gymnasts in the world.
The U.S. women have dominated recent Pan Am competitions. In Caracas, the Americans captured 3 of the 6 gold medals, and the 1987 team, led by Christy Phillips, is even stronger. This Bella Caroli-trained 15-year-old has won back-to-back American Cup championships. Since the retirement of Mary Lou Retton, Christy has been touted as America's best.
Hopefully we won't be surprised by anybody, and right now we are really confident about our team that we're putting up, and we're all just going to have to get out there and work as a team and just do the best that we can do for ourselves and for the team.
14-year-old Phoebe Mills is another American headliner. She, too, is in Houston, Texas, and trained by Bella Caroli. Mills has been working her way back from multiple fractures in her right heel. She hopes to be ready when the women's competition begins next week.
Just going to try and gradually, work up to my full ability. It's getting a lot better now, and I'm not really quite sure what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to go out 100%.
Kathy, I know you've been working on the Phoebe Mills story since we got here. How is her health? Can she compete?
I just spoke to the United States team coach this morning, Greg Morrison, and he feels there's a 50-50 chance. She's not 100%, but she'll come on in and they'll make the final decision right before the competition.
The women's team is not the only one with problems. The men's have some problems as well.
They sure do. The strangest thing happened yesterday in the Pan American Village. Charles Lakes is climbing out of his second-story bunk bed, slips off a chair, and bruises his tailbone. So we saw him yesterday at practice on crutches, and they're going to need him if they expect to do well.
Leads. He's on a record pace. Now, this score is derived by taking 50% of the performer's individual total after the compulsories and the optionals. Felix Aguilera of Cuba, little more than a half point behind, is in second place, followed by Casimiro Suarez. And hello again, everybody. I'm Tim Brandt. Earlier, we saw the United States with a very courageous performance upset Cuba to win the men's team title. Now, we've got the top 22 competitors, no more than 3 from each team in the Pan Am Games, competing for the all-around title. And working with me again, Kathy Johnson and Bart Connor. And Kathy, let's start with Scott Johnson, because he's had such a marvelous attitude all week and has just seemed honed in on the task at hand.
Well, Tim, early in the season, Scott spoke of a new attitude. Thus, we're seeing a more mature and well-prepared gymnast. It began in June when he won the national championship and continues here in the Pan Am Games. He led his team to victory over the Cubans in the team competition. And now he's expressed his confidence going into the all-around competition.
My main goal was to win the team competition. We had done that now. Now my sights are set on winning the all-around competition. And with that kind of a lead, it gives me a lot of confidence. And well, I hope things go as well Saturday as they did today.
All right, a confident Scotty Johnson. Now, Bart, the guy I like from the Cubans, who is really impressive, is Casimiro Suarez.
And, you know, even though he's in third place, you can never quite count him out. First of all, he knows how to win the Pan American Games, as he did back in 1983, where he won the all-around title. He shows a tremendous level of difficulty in his routines with remarkable consistency.
But Bart Suarez, who is a hero in his country because of his success in the sport, is getting old. He's 25 years of age now. He weighs 170 pounds.
And he's at a little bit of a disadvantage here opening the all-around competition on the pommel horse because it's not really his best event.
It's going to be hard to gain points on Scott here because he gives a lot away in form and execution.
Now, he does some nice work there with the flared circles and travel. But you can see here he's a little sloppy in the scissors. His toes aren't pointed enough, and a few minor form breaks in knee deductions. You can see here on the flares, he travels all the way across the horse. This is nice work, and hops back into the middle. But where he's giving away valuable tenths are right here where you can see a bent knee, a hooked toe.
9.35. He has to do better than that to catch Scott Johnson. That is a sarcastic laugh. Suarez has been upset with the scoring in the Pan Am Games all week, but that was not one of his better efforts. Here is the current leader, Scott Johnson, the former University of Nebraska star, the reigning U.S. champion. This is his first event, the vault.
This is usually a good event for Scott. He has good speed and very quick into the horse. To lay out Sukahara with a full twist and a great landing.
One of the best qualities of Scott's vaulting ability is right here. Boom! Look at the tremendous block and push off of his arms to get that type of height that he needs to stick the landing.
9.6. He's off to a quick start. Preparing for the pommel horse and currently in second place, Cuba's Felix Aguilera. He's 21 years old, weighs 137 pounds. He's been on the senior national team for 4 years.
I really like his style on every event, but particularly here, he's so smooth, and look at the extension.
He really has tremendous elevation above the horse. Now, he's not doing all the difficult elements. That was a nice combination there. Backmore, Bailey. But what he shows is tremendous lift above the horse. Nice, clean line. Excellent scissor work. Flares travel to a dismount right through handstand.
Aguilera is unusual in that he didn't take up the sport of gymnastics until he was a teenager.
You can see here he is really stretched out, nice tight body line as he travels on a backboard down and a backboard back up to the middle of the horse, right to a move called a pommel Russian to the end.
9.55. So, although Scott Johnson continues to lead, Cuba's Felix Aguilera is just 7/10 of a point behind in second place. Cuba's Casimiro Suarez and Tim Daggett are tied for third, 5. He's been sharp all day. Now let us take you back and show you his earlier performances.
And Scott has such an aggressive and crisp style. It's very impressive to the judges. But most of all, he really knows how to nail the dismounts.
Scott's wife and parents were urging him on. No surprise that by the time Scott got to the floor exercise, he had tremendous momentum.
He continued to show his expertise here. There's a double layout. And he comes back with one of the more difficult second tumbling runs. A tucked, full twisting double back. Dive roll. And he finished very strong. Nice high, tuck double back, and another good landing.
Cuba's Casimiro Suarez now in second place on the strength of a 9.85 routine on the parallel bars.
And he did a great move right there. It was a back toss with a half turn to an upper arm support. I believe it's the first time we've seen it in international competition. Nice back tosses and stutz, and a tuck double back.
Tim Daggett moved into third place, partially because of this strong routine on the pommel horse.
This is probably the strongest Tim looked throughout the entire competition.
Cuba's Felix Aguilera fell in fourth place despite this strong showing on the high bar.
And as we saw from the team competition, he really excels on the high bar with some tremendous work with release moves. A one-arm reverse hex with his legs together. Watch this combination. 2 reverse hex in a row.
So when we come back, it'll be Scott Johnson going for his second gold medal, while there is a close battle for the silver and the bronze. Up the silver medal.
And wait till you see this guy tumble. He does a tremendous laid out double back for a mount. Here it goes. Look at the height on that. And a beautiful full in for a second tumbling pass. So far, he did the exact same 2 tumbling runs that Scott Johnson used. There's a nice combination, a layout backflip to a punch front.
As strong as he is in the tumbling, his connections are really very weak.
Yeah, the routine really doesn't have the type of flow and the rhythm that you'd like to see, but without a doubt, his explosive tumbling will carry this exercise. Nice tuck double back for Dismount. He dropped out of the sky on that one. You know, Tim, I really feel he has a decent shot at that 9.75, and what carried that exercise was the height in the tumbling move. This is his second tumbling run, full twisting double back, but look at the air time. He just drops out of that.
He's got it. That will win Suarez the silver medal. Scott Johnson with the gold medal all but wrapped up still has a shot at the Pan Am all-around point record. He needs a 9.65 to break the old record held by Casimiro Suarez.
He's such a great all-arounder. It's hard to pick his single best event, but I really feel that this is definitely one of them.
Great work on a Maltese cross, lower to a regular iron cross. One of the reasons why Scott is so outstanding on the rings is that not only is he strong, but watch how he can swing. Beautiful giant swings, topping off right in a very solid handstand. And forward giant swings, 2 in a row. Here's the dismount. A pike full out, and he nails the landing.
Is his family happy?
Scott showed really excellent work with the front giant swings to a locked-out handstand. And let me tell you, he finishes this routine off with a gold medal dismount.
The judges are taking a long time on Scott's score. .75 for Scott Johnson. The crowd thought he deserved better. Nonetheless, a new Pan Am Games record. Still in the rings, Tim Daggett needs a 9.55 to win the bronze medal.
And this is a tough event for Tim to have to finish up on, particularly needing a 9.55. And as we noted in the team competition, because of a neck injury he suffered earlier this year, he's not quite as strong as he should be. It was on this event and the compulsory exercises that he had problems. There's no signs of any problems so far. In the optional exercise, you can work around and use your strength. Here's a dismount, a double layout, and a good landing. He could very well do it. Front giant, right to handstand.
You need this nice fight.
Giant swings. Beautiful dismount.
Tim anxiously awaiting the score. He needs a 9.55. That'll do it. He wins the bronze medal. Let's go down now to Bart Connor, who's with the gold medalist, Scott Johnson.
Did you realize going into the rings that you had an opportunity to set a new Pan American Games all-around record?
No, I didn't. I was really surprised, especially, well, I knew that I had set a new record coming into the night's finals, but then after falling off Pommel Horse, I kind of thought that I had blown that.
But so going into rings, our final event, my main concern was just to go up there and do the best set that I could to try to reestablish my all-around score. And then, you know, then I found out that I'd set a new record, and it was really exciting.
Well, congratulations, Scotty.
Thanks, Bart.
So Scott Johnson wins his second gold medal of these games, the all-around title. Cuba's Casimiro Suarez takes the silver, and Tim Daggett of the United States wins the bronze. This is Tim Brandt along with Kathy Johnson and Bart Connor, and we're just going to sit back now and enjoy the celebration.
One of those magic moments that concluded last night. You look very fresh for having completed your voiceover at 5 o'clock this morning, Kathy and Bart. Bart, having watched our men, they've been terrific in this competition. Tell me how that bodes for the Olympics in Korea next year.
I think really looking ahead towards '88, you have to remember we'll have to be able to count on Scott Johnson and Tim Daggett to lead the team. Scott has never looked better. He is so strong physically and mentally, better than I've ever seen him. Tim Daggett is coming off that neck injury, but he showed here he's a very gutsy performer, and I know we'll be able to count on him as well in 1988. We saw an opportunity to see also Brian Ginsberg and Charles Lakes and Tom Schlesinger and Kevin Davis, also 4 other members that should fit into that team.
Yeah, Kathy, now the focus is on the women here in Indianapolis this week. What can we expect?
Well, I've watched a couple workouts, and the girls really look great. The difficult task is going to be the coaches, determining exactly which 6 will go on the floor. Christy Phillips looks very strong. Phoebe Mills probably will not compete. She's about 80%, but they don't want to risk this close on the World Championships. Other strong ones, Sabrina Marr looks great, and Stacy Gunthorpe, Kelly Garrison, so it's really going to be tough, but they should have no trouble in the team competition whatsoever. Competition will be amongst the United States.
Great. We look forward to that live competition next week. See you both a little bit later. Now, still ahead of us, 2 of the most heralded amateur athletes in the world. Greg Louganis